Sandy, I am so thankful that you had time to meet us here at Livsenergi. You are very welcome.
Well, thank you so much. It's my pleasure. I was very excited when you emailed.
Thank you. So this is Sandra Anne Taylor, called Sandy among friends. And we are super excited to talk to you because you're quite, here in Sweden, we are about to launch one of your books.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, and I say one of your books because I know that you've written many and oracle cards, etc., right?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I
You
have a
have,
lot of books in Swedish and actually 32 languages.
that's great.
So I was so happy to hear that the Akashic Records book was being published in Sweden.
Yeah, we are too, because the Akashic Records, it's a subject or an area of interest to a lot of our members. You know that we are a book club first and foremost. So all the books that we publish go to our members first of all, before they reach any other sales channel, they reach the book club members.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, it is because it's special. There are not so many books in this genre, the spiritual genre, in Sweden, released every year. So we are happy that we have this little pool of people coming to us that actually love this subject and are interested to know more. So, and the Akashic Records is something that always is of interest.
It is. And I've been studying it and playing with it and diving into it for 25 years.
Let's start with you, Sandy. We want to know about you. So, who are you? Where are you from? How did you end up where you are today?
Well, I was a psychological counselor in a private practice, and I was, dealing with people that had relationship issues and all sorts of things. And uh, coincidentally, my second husband introduced me to quantum physics. And as I was reading all these quantum physical principles, I kept thinking, this can be applied to the human experience and to the spiritual experience, the world phenomenon. And so I started telling my clients about, magnetism. This is long before the book, The Secret, came out.
Yeah.
I self-published my book, Secrets of Attraction, 20 years before that. But anyway, so I was telling people about this and they kept saying, where can I get a book on it? And I didn't know that people like Robert Collier back in the early 1900s, late 1800s had done some stuff like that. So I just thought, well, I've got to write a book about it. And that set me on a whole new path, studying spiritual phenomena and the human experience through the eyes of energetic reality. And it just opened up the world for me. And that's the where it all began.
And what do you mean when it opened up the world to you? More specifically, what happened?
Well, I felt like it made things make sense. Everything was so random before. Why did I have so many clients that just couldn't find a relationship, or so many clients that couldn't keep a job? And, it just felt so random and arbitrary. And then when I understood the laws of, nature and the universe within people's lifetimes and within this lifetime, I realized, okay, if we shift our energy, we can shift these results. It's the energetic momentum that keeps the same results coming. So that, first of all, affected me because I really worked on shifting my own energy. And when I caught myself in little tricks like, being too desperate and that energy toxifying my, the very goal I wanted, I worked on it myself. Then I started teaching it to others and the results were incredible. So then that led me more into the spiritual realm. And about 20 years ago, I was reading Edgar Casey's stuff on the Akashic Records, and I just kind of realized that it kind of brought all of the energetic rules together, and in this ongoing field, consciousness field that presented and projected our information, and that we can go into the field, find some information, and then change it, and then, create a different field for the future.
Ever since I started working with Livsenergi, which is now 5.5 years ago, I was actually introduced to the Akashic records right in the beginning, and it amazed me. It was a man called Ernesto Ortiz who wrote a book about it. And ever since, we haven't had a new book about the Akashic records since then, and that was really, really popular. I read that book and I was really amazed, but I also thought it was kind of, how do you say, hard to reach or unreachable, and difficult. And could I really? Do I have to go to this resort to learn how to, and all that stuff? And I think I don't think I'm alone.
I had the same reaction.
Yeah.
And I don't dismiss anybody's teachings or theories. I always say even to my own clients, I say, pick what you want, what resonates with you, and then just leave the rest that doesn't resonate, because your truth is a combination of, what you find relevant to your life and what resonates with you. So yeah, there were some things in his book that did not resonate with me. One is that, it made it very difficult to get to the Akashic records, in that you had to say a foreign prayer. I mean, I didn't even know what language it was in or what it meant. He might have said what it meant. I may have forgotten it, but I thought, this is my records. I don't have to say it in another language. I don't even have to say a specific prayer to get in there, So it's very important to know, and this is one of the main reasons I wrote this book. That's why it's called The Akashic Records Made Easy, not because it's for beginners, for dummies or whatever, like that chain of books. It's made easy because it doesn't have to be so esoteric and so unavailable that you can't just go into it almost spontaneously. And you can. So there were some really good things in his book, and some things that I think were made it a little less accessible.
You said something that interests me here. So you said this is my records, you say. Mm-hmm. In my world, I was picturing this big spiritual library where I could kind of get into the history of the world as well as my own.
Oh, you can. Absolutely. Yeah? But those are your records too.
That's very true.
The law of interconnectedness says that we're all connected and our history is entwined. It's almost woven. All of our lifetimes are woven into this tapestry with everybody else's lifetime. Mm-hmm. And so, but they're still your records. Yeah. Even a scientific discovery is your record, because you're a part of this like unassailable connection that everyone has and cannot be dissolved. So your records, when I talked about my records, I was also talking about past, present, and future lives. You can find all of that in the records. Future potential, I should say. But yes, wisdom, scientific discovery, poetry, baking recipes, anything that you would want to need is in the Akashic records.
What is the most tangible thing that you have collected from the record?
Oh my gosh, it's so endless. I'll tell you what, it has inspired books that one time I was falling asleep. I was dealing with a client that had a very difficult issue, and she couldn't break through. And I kept saying, just falling. And here's a trick for people who want to get into the records. be focused on something you want, and then just let it go, and then you'll receive it. Okay, so I was focused on thinking about her so much, and I was thinking, there must be something Peggy can do to break through. And then I fell asleep and I had this dream, and dreams are a big source of Akashic record information. So everybody keep your notebooks by your bed. But yes, absolutely. And I literally had this man come to me and say, tell her to put her fingers here and say, I decode this. And he explained about the codes that we live in and how we can release them and code a new thing. It's a very easy position on your forehead. And that became the fodder for my book, Your Quantum Breakthrough Code. And I've gotten emails from all over the world. This helped me quit smoking, and it helped Peggy immensely. She's like a different person. She was having problems at work, and she couldn't even make eye contact at sales meetings. And now she runs a huge account at an international company, and runs sales meeting of thousands. So it's like, once you can get at that code that has just been a part of your record. See, we code things from past lives. And once you decode it and code a new belief in yourself or whatever it is you want, you can shift that record. The records can be changed. They are not absolute and, irreversible.
That sounds like a good thing. In this world, we want to change a lot of things, I think.
Yes.
So
yes.
I have a few notes down here, actually,
Sure.
to keep myself on track. So I get very curious. You jump to one of my super questions, the shortcut to the Akashic records. Are there any? And you told us about one way of getting there fast. Is there another way?
Yes, there's lots of ways. First of all, if you meditate a lot, you can go into what is called alpha brain frequency pretty easily. It's helpful to be in alpha brain frequency to open the records. That's in a relaxed, creative state. Most of us in our waking moments are in beta. We are now in beta because we're discussing in functional. Of course, you can be in alpha and be discussing something in functional as well. It's very rare, but you can do that. So if you meditate a lot, sometimes all you have to do is, if you have a question, like you're making a decision, you can, and you want to know what's the best way, you can go into your records very quickly and see if you can get an answer by simply doing some deep breathing and closing your eyes and asking for some a one-sided answer, not should I go to this college or should I go to work. If you put two sides in it, you get two record openings, and then they're like conflict with each other. Okay, so should I go to XYZ college? And then you just close your eyes. And sometimes it's helpful to get in alpha. People don't realize this. If while your eyes are closed, you raise them. Raise them up to, and that actually puts you into automatic alpha. People have been, their brain waves have been studied, and it goes into automatic alpha. You don't hold it a lot because, nobody looks up that way, so it strains the muscles around the eyes. It doesn't hurt your eyes in any way,
So you close your eyes, but behind the lids.
And you raise your eyes and say, should I go to XYZ college? And then you may hear a yes. You may see a traffic light with a red light or a green light. You might see a road sign that says straight ahead, or the records will reply in different ways, depending on how you're accustomed to doing. I often see traffic lights, and I often hear yes or no. So once you get used to it, you become so conscious of, okay, I'm trying to make a decision here. Let's get out of my analytical mind and go dive into the records. And it's really rapid. It's really incredible how you can get this information, this wisdom from the records.
You know what? When I did that right now, and I can feel that when I meditate also sometimes, you close your eyes and you raise your eyes behind the lids and you take the deep breath. It's like you can almost feel your spirit.
Yes.
Awaken. Yeah.
Isn't it wonderful? It's just such an easy little trick that almost nobody knows about. But that was one of the things I received in that dream.
Yeah.
It's that became the source of my book called Your Quantum Breakthrough Code. And that was told to me in that dream.
Ah. So you have some concrete things that that we all can learn from you today, and then of course we want everyone to buy this book and read it. So this is the Swedish cover. You know, it's funny, we found the same image that you used in the international edition. Yeah.
Made easy.
Exactly. We actually didn't bring that with us, made easy. We we decided not to.
That's fine. A lot of people dismiss, you know, if someone's been studying the Akashic records for 5 years or 10 or even longer, they'll go, well, if it's made easy, that's the basics. I don't need that. But I wanted to make it clear that you don't have to do bizarre ritualistic things to get into the records, you know, and it's easy to get information about your talents, stock investments, where to live, what the future is going to bring. It's just, and it's all easy. So I want people to know that, but yeah, we don't want to dismiss it as too basic, because even if you've been studying the records for 20 years, I'm sure you'll find some tips in here that you might not have heard of before.
You know, it's like yoga. You always go back to the basics. You need,
of course.
Yeah. Another one that is really interesting to me is, how do you know that you have connection to the Akashic records?
Well, it's important not to look for evidence while you're in the records, because as soon as you start looking, like, what is here? Am I in the records? As soon as you start analysis, you go into the left brain. And the left brain is the logical mind. We reach the records, we reach spirit communication, we reach our creative ideas through the right brain. Okay, so as soon as you get into analysis, you shut the door. So you don't want to be looking for evidence. The evidence that I feel that I'm in the Akashic records is more of a feelings of peace, tranquility, openness, feelings of, it's almost like a consciousness expansion, like you're just expanding here. And then you can get the evidence after the fact. Once you get your information, it'll be clear to you that you got that from the record. But if you start looking for evidence, like, you know, am I in a library? I use libraries all the time as an image. I walk into a library, boom, I'm in the records. I use another process called the sacred temple, and you go in there in your own sacred temple, and there's a door to the records, or there's a screen to the records, or a book to the records, you know? So whatever image you want to use, you can use that in a meditation to open the records, but I don't recommend looking for, am I in the records? Because that gets you right into your analytical mind.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I was also after, when you end your session or whatever you call it, how do you feel that the information that you got, that you actually were in the records, but that you told us so?
And you can sense it, you know, and it's applicable. It's practically applicable to your life.
Are you in the records every day?
Yes, and sometimes not consciously. Another quick receptive tendency is to get a flash of intuition. And you might think, oh, I just thought this, but it could be a record pipeline. And I'm certain that I get that all the time. I get it in my writing. I'm writing a new deck of oracle cards, and I just sit there and ask, okay, what should this card be about? Or what's this next paragraph about in a book or whatever? And boom, you know, something comes up. So yes, but not, it's not where I do the longer intentional meditations every day. I do that probably a couple times a month, maybe more, maybe once a week, but mostly I do it really spontaneously to try to get information, or it just comes to me. Something comes to me and I thought, oh, there's a record. There's a record coming up.
So we talked about the quick steps to to get into the Akashic records. We also talked about how do you know that you have been in contact with the Akashic records. So, and you just mentioned, the intentional meditations. So what would you suggest for smart tips to prepare to get in touch with the Akashic records? If you have more time than the quick fixes in the store.
Yes, absolutely. And I recommend, if you really want to get into the Akashic records, I used to do the full out Akashic record meditation all the time, like every day for months on end or several weeks, and then go back for several weeks. But it's because I did that you get the flashes of insight, So yes, I recommend doing a regular, consciously intended meditation to go into the records. And that's one thing that is helpful to prepare. Is to create what I call a focused intention. When you, get in your meditation chair or lie down on your bed, however you meditate, to do some deep breathing. And you can do any meditation induction that you want, but you can also create the intention. I want to go into the records. And as I said, people visualize a hall, a record hall, a library, whatever, and you can do those visualizations. But then you want to add a focused intention to find out what my past life with my husband was that might have created this issue that we're in, or to find out what my career past was that is creating a block right now. Okay, so if you can create a focused intention, it kind of, our records, like I said, our records are full of past life, present issues, future potentials, and then full of universal wisdom. So if you just go, I want to go into the records, you can, and you can see what anyone has to tell you. There are record spirits too, record angels and record guides, and you can forge relationships with them, which is wonderful. So you can do that, but I like to have a purpose. Like, I want to find out this. And that's why when I'm doing a writing thing or doing something where I need an answer quickly, that's a focused intention right there. You see what I'm saying? I need the direction of this next paragraph or whatever. It lets you know, it gives the universe the direction of what to send you.
I always do that, actually, when I'm writing, and I need it to come like that. Yeah. I'm not preparing. I haven't thought too much, and so I always think of the higher. Okay, so give me something. What should I write here?
And so it does, it doesn't work 100%, especially if we're blocking ourselves with worry about getting it done or something, but it works so often, you know that you're connected. And that's why it's important to know that you don't need any magical phrases or ceremonies to get in. You're already in. There is another teacher, a wonderful teacher, actually, and I'm sorry, I'm blanking on her name, Linda something. And she has great books on healing through the Akashic records. But one of the things she talks about is when you're done with one of these formal meditations is to close the records. I never close the records. I want them open all of the time. I want to just, it's just like turning off the heat in the winter in my house. I don't want to do that. I want to have the warmth and the inspiration all the time.
But don't you think what we're talking about here, Ernesto, you, Maureen Saint Germain is also one of the Akashic Records people, I guess, and Linda, you talked about.
Yes.
All of you have different experiences, and perhaps that's how it should be. So it's different for everyone. If you feel like closing, close, and if you feel like you want them open.
And that's why I tell people, even my stuff or anything you read, take what resonates with you and then create your own approach, and create the approach that is the most comfortable and most productive that you see and feel the results with. So Yeah, no, I don't close the Akashic records only because I want those flashes of insight. But yeah, if you're doing a formal meditation and you feel more comfortable that way, that's absolutely what you should do.
Yeah. And can we find some of the meditations in here?
Every single chapter has a meditation. Every single one has a meditation. There's lots on past lives, lots on present issues, future viewing and future programming. They're two different things. So I once had a client, I teach future viewing, and you do this formal meditation and you want to know what are the results of this. And I had a client who was working on getting this job promotion, and she was a lawyer and she wanted to be a partner and make all this money, but she was already working 50, 60 hours a week. And so she went into the future records, the future potential records. And what she witnessed is that she didn't witness her at her work desk. She witnessed herself in a conference room facing her husband at a table, and they were getting a divorce. And he said to her, because she had to go up to 80 hours a week once she became partner. And he said to her, you haven't been a member of this family since you got that promotion. So the answer was she got the promotion, but she was losing the family.
Yeah.
And what this showed her, this was so valuable to her, that she went to her boss and said, can I still keep to 50 or 60 hours a week as a partner? And he said, if you think you're working a lot now, you're not going to be, you're going to be working way more. And he told her, there's lots of different forms of value in life. Money is of value, but family is a value. You can stay where you're at and make plenty of money and keep your family, or you'll be making partner if you keep working the way you're working. And she decided, she saw that future potential. The future exists in energetic potential. It's not written in stone. So when people go to view their future records, it's so valuable because you can then change something. And so she knew what she had to do. And it was like a huge epiphany for her.
That's fantastic that you can it's actually going to yourself to ask for help.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, your soul has a pipeline. It's like, it's just always vibrating on the same resonance as other souls and as the records.
So here's a question. Can you go to the records for someone else?
You can go to the records to find out how your connection with them has played out in the past and may play out in the future. I do record readings. I mean, if you become a reader, I do record readings, and the fact that people make appointments with me is obviously permission that they're allowing me to open their records. So I can get into their records. And when I do, sometimes I see, records of another person, like someone might ask me, oh, I just started dating this guy, tell me what he's like, that type of thing. And I would see like a past life where something happened in relationship. So he might be commitment phobic in this life or whatever. So, but it's always relating to the person that I'm talking to. I never go in to investigate someone else's life for no reason, for my personal reasons.
No, I was thinking perhaps if you know that someone is hurting or someone is in need of some kind of help.
And healing, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Edgar Cayce went into the record so much for his healing. So absolutely, as long as your intention is positive and highly intentioned and respectful of the person, there might be some information that you can get to give them some ideas on new way of doing things, or even an herbal medicine or something like that.
Why would you say we should get in contact with the Akashic records? What have they given to you, and what do you think that we can learn from them in life?
That would take me an hour and a half. many
We
hours
have
to
the tests.
I'll give you the edited version. If you can find out your past life influences, you can shift, believe it or not. The time-space continuum says that all time exists at the same time. So your past life influences are still affecting your present situation. So you can change that. Believe it or not, you can rewrite past lives in the records. And then that changes the consciousness of the influence that's going on now. So you can go into past, present, future. You can program the future. I talked about viewing the future, but you can also program the future in the records. You can also, make decisions. There's a meditation in the book that I have used many times. It's called the Soul's Map. And if you have a decision to make, you ask about it, and then you see your life like a GPS screen in front of you, and the little arrow is going by these streets and turning down these streets, and the streets are not named like streets named like whatever, Main Street or whatever. They have different names like romance or detour or hard work or world travel or that type of thing. And so you go through your soul's map and you ask, okay, should I do this? And I'd use this once when I was marrying my second husband. And I got all these wonderful things. I got world travel, enlightenment, success, that type of thing. And we were intellectually matched, but things kind of fell apart in other areas. But and so we ended up getting into divorce. And I looked back at my soul's map notes and I thought, so it told me enlightenment, success, world travel. And then I realized my second husband was the one that introduced me to quantum physics.
Yeah.
And even though the marriage didn't work out, that shift in my consciousness may have only come from that experience and being married to him. And then it changed my life. It literally changed my life because, but I was told through my soul's map to marry him, thank goodness.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It didn't work out, right? So, there's so much value, so many things, talents, connecting with spirit. So many reasons why you should go into the records. It's almost like becomes a fun thing to do. What's new this week, or what's coming up on my path, that type of thing. But very specific answers can be found as well.
So a lot of what we're talking about here could also, if I was talking to, for example, a medium or a spiritual guide, they would say that they can get the same information from the guides or just from spirit. What is the difference here? Is there a difference, or are they just different tools?
I think they're different tools. I think that a lot of record information comes from guides and spirit. That's why I have a chapter in there on the record angels and record guides, because when you connect with the record guides, you really, it's like being able to call a friend and say, hey, do you know where that restaurant? And then, you know what I'm saying? You could, when you're connected with the record, hey, do you know what I'm supposed to be doing? Whatever. So yes, I feel the reason it's so similar is that high vibration. Spirits, angels, your own higher self resonate at a very high vibration, as the records do. So to me, it's kind of all one thing. When I do a record reading, I see angels, I see chakra information, and it's all the records, see all at the spirit, all the same thing. It's a valuable, source of one attempt, one way to get into this information. But I think even if you do it through mediumship or through angels or whatever, you'll still be connecting with the records.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
So there's another relationship I'm quite interested to talk to you about, and that's the relationship between psychology and spirituality.
Well, as someone who had a psychological practice for like 20 years, 25 years,
Exactly.
long before I ended my psychology practice, I was bringing in spiritual stuff to the people that I knew would be open to it. Here in the United States, it's, frowned upon to to teach anything spiritual or religious. I don't go into religion. I just talk about spirit. But the people who I knew it was going to help, to me, it's all a psychospiritual approach to healing. Healing your life, healing your future, healing your past, healing your consciousness, addictions, all this stuff is available through the spirit world, but we have to bring our psychology into the mix so that we can see our patterns and rewire our neural pathways so that we can change that.
Yeah. I think there is a very close relationship between psychology and spirituality. And sometimes I am amazed that people in the medical field here in Sweden are not open to spirituality, because we can find so much that they actually teach and that they try to have us doing in the spiritual world, if we just we can just do both, because with 1 + 1 = 3, there's a synergy effect there.
Yep, I absolutely agree. It's the same way here in the States, very frowned upon, but I believe they are inextricably connected. You cannot extricate, you cannot separate your spirit from your psyche, or your psyche from your spirit. I mean, you can dismiss it. You can dismiss your spirit and be stuck in your psychological patterns for lifetimes, if you want to look in the records. But if you really want to accelerate the healing, you'll bring spirit into it.
So working with this book, you can actually do what you talked about that you did in the beginning. You did several weeks of intuitive meditation and hard work. And then you took a pause, and then you redid it all over again. And this book can actually guide us through our connection to the Akashic records.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I feel it can. And I feel if you just read it with an open mind and try everything has a little technique. There's some affirmations. There's all sorts of little tips throughout the book. And if you just have an open mind and try to get out of your analytical head, because that will stop and just open up. The biggest way to be to receive is open to receiving. And sometimes there's this beautiful affirmation that is a prefix called, I open myself to my spirit's capacity. And you can add anything to that, to learn how to play the piano, but you can add to be open to the records and receive the wisdom and inspiration I need. And then it's boom, it's right there with you. So, definitely open your mind and just try this stuff. You'll be amazed. I think you'll be amazed.
I think it will be a lot of fun. And like you said, we can grab whatever makes sense to us, and then we leave the rest. Maybe there's another day we are open for that part.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And that's fine, because your eternal self is guiding you.
How was your first meeting with the Akashic records?
I didn't know it was the records back then, but my first past life regression, I realized was an opening of the records. But I was mostly doing it with a regressionist, and we didn't talk about the records, but I realized much later that was my first exposure to opening the records. And it was illuminating to me. I found out I have had in the past severe bronchial ailments for decades. And I found this past life that was a source of it. And I was able to release it, rescript it, let go of attachments and responsibility, obligation, that type of thing. And it shifted for me. But I had many past lives that fed that. Things where I was in a dank, musty cell, or drowned, or, many times in prison. So I would like to erase those records. Anyway, so, I was able to get off of that pattern. And from, 8, 10 infections a year to one a year to none a year, one every 3 years or something like that. So, that I didn't realize that was my first foray into the record environment, but it was.
So when you find the reason for an obstacle or challenge in life through the records, and you want to release yourself of that, what do you do to release that? Is it something that you do while in contact with the records, or do you do it IRL, so to say?
Well, I always, when I go into the records in a formal way, even if it's just a 10-minute meditation, I always have a record guide with me.
Yeah.
Either I go to the temple, my sacred temple, or the record library, there's always a record guide. So when I find out, I always ask him or her, all right, what do I need to do with this information? And they usually say, well, you have to let go of guilt, or you have to do some journaling about your resentment, because if you hold on to resentment, it's, clogs, your life force, that type of thing. So that's one thing I do recommend. Get comfortable with spirit, because they will give you the information. You can also just ask the records, even if you don't have a record guide with you. If you're in the records, you can say, okay, now what do I do with this information? There's almost always, I'm going to take out the word almost, there's always a lesson. And once we learn the lesson, this one thing that people with about karma don't understand, they think it's episodic. So if I was mean to 100 people in past lives, I have to get socked 100 times in this life by those same people. No, once you learn the lesson, it is wiped clean. Once you learn, okay, it's not healthy, it's not something I want to do to be mean, I don't have to be arrogant or critical, whatever. Boom, those records are out. You have shifted your consciousness into a different direction. It's not episodic, it's issue related. So that is oftentimes the first thing you have to look at. What is my psychological pattern here that reflects the problem, the need, the obligation, the guilt, the anger, the resentment? If there's a negative energy attached, how do I expel this? Not just ignore it. You can't just give lip service to it. You have to really kind of, learn how to release yourself from it.
Yeah. So, Sandy, we have a few short questions for you here.
Okay.
So, what's your zodiac sign?
I'm a Scorpio.
Scorpio. Oh, that's now, or it has just been?
Yes.
So, what's your date of birth?
November 14th. Yes. Did you know that 1 in 7 people in the world are Scorpios? You would think 1 in 12 because there are 12 signs. Yeah. 1 in 7 people in the world are Scorpio.
Oh, so there's a lot of Scorpions.
Yeah.
Do you have a life motto?
I have a life motto that I actually created when I was in my 20s. My friends thought I was crazy. It was like the French motto of, what was it? Equality, liberty, fraternity. Mine was integrity, equanimity, autonomy. And if I had approached any issue in my life where I would ask myself, does this speak to my integrity? If it lacked integrity, it was out. Does it speak to my autonomy? Being a twin, I'm an identical twin. I felt like I needed to establish autonomy in my life. So if it felt too needy, I just needed to go in and say, hey, okay, I can do this myself. And, equanimity is always, no matter what's going on around you, you can find that peaceful place in your soul, in your eternal life. You can still deal with it. It's not denial. It's being peaceful through the process.
Oh, that's nice. It's like a little checkboard.
Yes, it is.
Fun. So you are an identical twin. That's very interesting. Are you identical?
We are identical. Well, until recently, my sister stopped coloring her hair, and so people can tell us now by the difference in the hair color.
Oh, that's funny. I love twins. I think it's a very interesting to meet twins. My
Oh,
mother
it
is
is.
a twin, yeah.
It's
And my
fun.
sister is having twins, 2 boys
Oh, it's
in March.
wonderful. Oh
Yeah,
my
I
gosh,
know.
it's so much fun. I don't know how fun it is for the mom, but it was fun for us.
Yeah. One of my best, or two of my best friends are twins as well, but not identical. But that doesn't, it
No,
doesn't matter.
you know that there's a lot of shared past lives when you come in with a twin.
Oh, I would love to dive into those.
Yeah.
Okay, so looking at your personality, how is your temper? Like, how are you as a person in life? Are you, vivid, or are you? You don't look to me. You don't look as the scared person, but how are you?
Yeah. In my psychological practice, my two main focuses were marriage counseling and phobias. And so I learned a long time ago not to be afraid. I mean, that wasn't instilled. My parents were very adventurous, and we were always doing stuff, so that wasn't a part of my background. I don't know what it is that really makes me tick, but there's nothing. I don't tend to get angry unless I'm being attacked, and which is rare. So I'm much more introspective. I mean, I communicate things. My husband might not agree that I don't get angry. I tend to just try to say, okay, let's talk about this. And, I mean, that's probably because of my background in psychology, let's work it out. Let's talk. And, men, they don't want to talk.
I hate that. Couldn't everyone be like women?
It'd be so much easier, right?
Yeah. Where are you from? I know that you are in Ohio now.
Yes.
Are you from Ohio?
Yes, I was born and raised here in what we call the North Shore, the Great Lakes across the top of Midwest and Eastern United States. I'm very near the Lake Erie. And and I love it. And we have not as long a winter as you, but we have a longer winter than, the South or the Middle South. So, but yeah, that's where I'm from. My mother was 100% Italian, and my father was half English, half Swiss. So that's it. The Italian is the biggest part of me. And
can almost tell.
It comes out in my talking with my
Do you also love food?
Oh, I love food. Yeah. It's definitely a many lifetime issue for me.
Food is a fantastic part of life if you enjoy it.
It is. And it should be reveled in and savored instead of like overindulged and just trying to emotionally escape, So, that's one process that I have been working on my whole life because yes, my grandmother from Italy, we'd go to her house and she'd say, "Eat, God bless you." Like they were the same thing. If you were eating, God was blessing you.
Yeah, in my family here, in my small family with my husband and my children, sometimes I'm thinking, God, everything surrounds around food in this family. Every morning we talk about, so what do we eat tonight? And in the weekend, and it's like
not quite that bad.
So I actually right now I don't cook very much. I let my husband cook because I got fed up with everything. But I love food. I love to eat food and eat good food. I don't want to bring in bad food. I don't, I don't care about bad food. It should be something that you like.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, Sandy, we're coming to an end here. And I want to ask you, is this your first meeting with your Swedish audience?
Yes, it is. And I'm so happy about it. I mean, as I said, my books are printed in 32 languages, and I rarely get to do something like this. That's why I really jumped at the chance. It's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything you would like to tell them?
Well, I would tell them the same thing I would tell um, all of the people, every country, every person that I ever would get in touch with. And that is, understand that you are eternal and your value doesn't come from externally imposed conditions like being a size 0 or having a lot of money or having a college degree or whatever it is you're putting conditions on yourself. Look to your eternal self. You're a child of God, and as a child of God, you are unlimited in worthiness, power, resourcefulness, and the value of your eternal life is where your real value comes from. So see that so many people get bogged down in self-esteem issues, and even in my psychological practice, if people could just see themselves through their eternal eyes, they'd be able to erase that.
Yeah.
And that's what I encourage people to do, to see the value and wonder within themselves.
If we could, we would get a better world.
Yes, if we could, we would. That's right.
Yeah,
and we should. So let's put all those together.
And there is, a lot of people talk about the awakening and the period that we're in right now, that we're actually coming somewhere. What do you think about that? Where are we heading spiritually in the world?
I do think we're in a giant reset. We're in our personal reset and a global reset in so many ways. International relations, ecology, so many things have to be shifted here. And so I think that's part of the purpose of the last 2 years, that what we've all gone through in a shared kind of intention. Or what are we going to do with this? Just get through it and go back to our old way of doing things? No. And we shouldn't do that globally, and we shouldn't do that personally. We should take some time now to look at, what are the issues I really want to heal? What are the patterns I want to change? What are the ways I can bring more joy to my life? These are the things that we could do right now as we're coming out of this very difficult time. But then we should join those forces into a more environmentally sound and humanitarianly sound approach to life.
Yeah, it feels like that topic is quite important to you.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, Sandy, I want to thank you for your time and that you could make this meeting with me. I know that you have a situation in life where it's not easy to schedule everything.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you, Alexandra. I really, really enjoyed it. And it was a lovely experience. And it was a great distraction from the other craziness going on. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate it.